ago. I have examples from previous years. So once you get your word chosen, you're going to start sculpting it on paper. I'm going to show you various ways that you can do it. You're going to be able to use glue sticks, which I have up here at the desk. I do also have tape that you can use, but I don't think you will. I have those available to you. So this was like a basketball player last year. So different ways that you can you can either draw out your letters and then cut them out. And you can see here for the H, he actually folded over the side with a little lip so that he could fasten that down. And then for the O, he left a little tiny piece there, so that piece he glued down so that the dot is floating. I'm going to show you different techniques. The H is actually two different pieces. So you can see this is one strip of paper using the same technique with the little folds, and then the H, this part is just curled over, okay? One person did the Superman symbol. So if you want to do symbols, you could also do that. I mentioned before, if you want to put a question mark or exclamation point, you can do that. This person did like thinner letters and the dots on top. So the dots, instead of having it like the high one that I just showed you, that's actually curled paper in a circle. And then another year, we actually experimented using different charcoal. So this is white and black charcoal, and so I wrote the word love on my paper, and then I drew it. I try and do examples for everybody each year. And then this is kind of my working demo that I'm still working on, but where I drew, this is supposed to be peace. So I still have to finish the C and the E letter. Okay, so you guys see the P, E. So you can play around with that as well. So once you get your word started, like I'm going to do, which I did for the first class, I'm going to show you how to do, I'm going to do my name, my initials, and with a symbol. So I'm going to lightly draw out my letter. I'm going to show you two different ways to do things. And so once you get that letter drawn lightly, then you just take your scissors, which I also have up here for you, and you want to cut out your shape. If you want to avoid drawing lightly dark, if you draw too dark, I would erase it. And I'm going to leave, like that one example that I showed you, I'm leaving a piece of paper off of that shape because I can bend it and then glue that down to the paper so it stays. Okay? So I'm just showing you that the example, I'm making my J. And you want to play with placement. You can make your letters various sizes. They don't have to all line up together. And then once you get, I would get all your letters kind of planned out before you start gluing it down. I'm just showing you real quickly with one, all the different techniques. So first technique, leaving a little piece on the shape, and that's where you can put your glue. I recommend also putting glue on the bottom of the page as well as that. That will help it stick more. Bam, got my dot. I can move it around if I want it. You can, if you notice, placement's going to give you different shadows. And now for my J. So, real easy technique, paper rolling. Take your pencil, roll the paper on it. If you want it to curl, and this is going to help your letter get natural curvature. If you want it to go the opposite way, you just roll it the opposite way. You can also bend in different directions. If you want it, maybe I want my J to kind of curl up on the end. So you guys can play with that. I'm going to cut that edge off a little bit. So now I'm going to bend this edge over a little bit. So now I have my J. You can play, if I wanted to maybe fasten that bottom part of my J down, play with the curvature. I can. You can even glue it down in multiple places, okay? The other technique I was going to show you, because you have your paper, so if like you're going to make a letter like a W or an M or an E, think about if you want your letter to be uppercase or lowercase. So if it's uppercase, you know, you can do the large section of your letter first and then put one in the middle. Or if you want to do lowercase, you could roll the paper. Glue this down. And then now I have my lowercase e. Oops, hold on. I have to glue this down. There we go. And you also probably need to hold, after you glue, I would hold it for a couple of minutes and maybe count to 20. You can also bend your paper so it creates that angle. So bam, I got my E. And you know, your letters can go in various directions. Like this was the E for love, so I connected the E down on the paper and let the E kind of curl up. Okay? So this was for love, when I spelled love. So my L, so you can play with the shapes. I would try and keep your letters on the paper because you need that background to show your areas where there's highlights and shadow. Okay? So these are various ways that you can do it. I did mention for letters like a W or an M. And like I said, you can bend your paper or curl it. So for W's, you can do like that, and you just do it opposite way. You could do E's. You know, just play around with the different letters that you want. Like I said, you can also make it so that you have multiple pieces of paper. If you want to, maybe glue them all together first. Before you fasten it to the paper, that might be a better idea as well. But you can play with placement any way you want. It doesn't have to be the same. Like your letters can be different sizes. Okay. So like this could be, my initials are Jim, like Jim and the Holograms. So I could put my M. Paste this down. And my parents were creative, I guess. So the more that you bend the paper, the better, you know, the better shadows you're gonna get. And you can play with, you can move your letters anywhere you kind of want to on the paper. They don't have to all be in alignment. Okay? So you just kind of play around with the look that you want. The thinner you cut your paper, you're going to get different results. So I could even do an E that way. Okay? So think about placement. And, because I didn't like that E, so you can play around with the paper. Right up here I have extra paper for you. So on the, just real quick recall, we are going to practice real quickly shading, and I'll do that next. But I'm just showing you how to get the letters kind of created. There we go. I like that E better. You're going to be doing this on the back of the sheet, so which we're going to do next. So as we get started, if everyone wants to get their pencil out, make sure you write your name on the top, and a couple of pointers that I wrote on the top. We want to avoid outlining, and what I mean by outlining, a lot of people are still pressing down their pencils this dark. And this is problematic because, number one, it's going to be hard to erase if you make a mistake because you're going to see that ghost image. And then it's also going to be hard for us to make it look realistic. Because if you guys notice when you look at the ribbon, there's areas that completely disappear where there's a highlight. So we want to get in the habit of lightly outlining. Just like we practiced with the cards. You want to lightly outline that ribbon. You guys can do this along with me as I'm showing you the demo. You're going to lightly outline that ribbon. And this is pretty much exactly how your paper will be. Like, we're just going to illustrate paper curling. The other thing I want you to think about is the shadows. And the shadows are going to help your paper stand out on the paper. So by that I mean if you look right, like on the top left right here, after I've outlined it, I'm putting this shadow in first, notice how it's gonna set my paper on a ground so it doesn't look like it's floating. You can do your shadows before or after, but if you notice there are shadows throughout the bottom of this ribbon that I have on that paper for you. And it's only where the paper is touching. It's not all the way through. So there's areas where the paper is completely off that. And then I want to go in, if you notice the paper gets darker, I'm going to go from the very edge and I'm trying to work on smooth, even gradations. Trying to copy that shading. Then it gets light right here. And then this edge curling up right here, that's where it gets dark. So I'm going to start my shading on that edge. And then slowly cascade over because it gets lighter. I can come back and I can build up that edge. There's a highlight on the top of that ribbon, so I've left it blank. And I'm going to bring in my pencil on the top to show that shadow on top. And then right underneath here, this is a very dark shadow. So I'm going to, from that line, I'm going to push down as hard as I can, and I'm going to bring it down, and then ease up so it gets lighter. So all we're doing is constantly playing with light versus dark. You can also use your eraser if you maybe draw too much, put too much value down. And the reason why I want to draw lightly is because see where I did that outline? I can't get that same effect that I have up here because I have that outline kind of battling it. But over here, I'm going to be able to erase those lines and give it that realistic look. Because I have that light outline, I'll be able to erase that. And this is just for you to practice at first. You don't have to do the whole ribbon. It's just for you to get kind of warmed up before you move to the final draft. Okay? So up here on the desk, once you guys are ready, we can get started. And I have the examples up here for you to look at. I have a basket of scissors. I have the glue sticks. I have extra paper. You only need one sheet of paper to make your words. Remember, we're only using the back of this. And try and keep your letters within this paper so you have a background. Okay? And if anybody needs extra time, because we're just working on these today, but we're going to finish it up when we come back on Monday, you can work on finishing